me say a pleasant good morning to our listeners, those of you via Classic Radio. Good morning, and how are you this morning? Hope you're having a great morning. Those of you listening in the northern part of the island, the southern part, the eastern coast, the west coast, good morning and welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Wednesday, the 9th day of August. Let me also take the time out to say good morning to our viewers via GBN TV. Those of you viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20. Good morning and welcome to The Point. Let me say good morning to those of you in the diaspora who are, of course, religiously tuning every morning via our Facebook page, YouTube channels. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Certainly nice to have you. There's some folks who sometimes don't get the love, especially those of you via GBN's webpage. There are folks who log on from that particular webpage, and from time to time they do send their messages and send their love. Of course, being out there in some part of the world, that's one of the options they have of being able to find out what's going on in this little neck of the woods, the beautiful island of Grenada, their homeland, I would say also. And so, folks, you know what happens on a Wednesday here on To The Point? It's a day of the week on To The Point where we do entertain various government departments. It could be a government minister, a particular department where maybe a permanent secretary falls in, or someone representing various departments within government popping, and we certainly will discuss issues related to government and so forth. This morning, with of course, no stranger to being on the program, we have Mr. Terry Forrester with us this morning representing. Let's go over and say good morning to Terry. Terry, good morning. Hope you don't mind me calling you on a first name basis. I think we good like that.
Not at all, GT. Good morning to you, and good morning to all your listeners and viewers locally and internationally. It's always a pleasure to be with you and to be on the GBN program.
All right.
It's a pretty rainy morning. What can I say?
Rain in your neck of the woods. Yeah.
Yep. Well, very much so indeed.
Well, I haven't think not in my neck of the woods for the morning as yet. Anyway, well, good morning to you, and nice to have you with me this morning. And certainly it's a pleasure always having that chit chat with you. Always, of course, interesting conversation will certainly be part of the program this morning. So, Terry, I want to kick it off before we get into our meet. I've been hearing recently of your appointment. Being part of foreign affairs and so forth. Tell us about the appointment. Tell us about the appointment and so forth. Maybe there are folks who have heard of it, but there was not heard much details pertaining to it. Maybe you could enlighten us on that just a wee bit this morning before we continue.
All right. Well, thank you very much, GD. First of all, I must say that I don't know, maybe it's my volume, but your volume is coming through a bit low. But however,
tell me if that's much better. Is that much better?
It's improving. Whatever you did, if you could increase it.
All right.
Yes, so regarding your question, yes, indeed, my appointment took effect as from the beginning of July, and so far it has been going pretty well. We have identified 2 areas that we wish to concentrate on for the next 4 months, which will take us into Christmas. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because of a lack of, let's say, maintenance over the last several years, that department had to remove itself from there so the carpeting can be removed and have the entire floor retiled because of mold. Lots of mold in that section of the building. And the air conditioning in that entire building there has, not been serviced for probably 20 years. So they've been having a lot of air conditioning problems. Staff had to be working just half day and then continuing their work at home, etc. So work is ongoing as we speak over the carnival period, so that, they can get back to work as soon as possible full time. So my office has not yet been established within the Foreign Affairs Ministry, so I am also operating from home, so to speak. But nonetheless, we are pressing on and, trying to do the best we can. There are 2 initiatives which have been identified, and we are working with the stakeholders and partners and so forth with it, which is to identify mentors. And we're talking about professionals in the diaspora who have the capacity, have the ability, have the knowledge, the skills to mentor students and also mentor the youth. So whosoever student or youth feel that they need some form of mentorship or guidance, they can make contact with this grouping so that they can have professional assistance. The other item identified is adopt a school program. And this adoption of a school program entails raising funds for small repairs in the school or painting, and also sourcing school supplies. As a matter of fact, one Grenadian out in Dallas, Texas, has already effectively started work on this. And she and herself and her kids, family, and friends, they have, raised a tremendous amount of school supplies for the Bel Air School in St. Andrew, where they're going to be shipping out school supplies to that school. So in other words, the program is geared towards inviting Grenadians out in the diaspora to adopt a school, take it on as yours. So they form a committee and they decide, all right, I am from St. Andrew or St. Patrick or whichever part of Grenada, and this is the school I went to, and this is the school I want to ensure gets the best facilities. And that exercise is receiving excellent responses from Grenadians abroad. And I think this will augur extremely well for the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Sport, and in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, because the mentorship side of it relates to health, the Ministry of Health. So there is an ongoing collaboration now taking place with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, and the Ministry of Health, working on these two programs, mentorship and also adopt a school program. So that will ease the burden of government in the years ahead in dealing with repairs to schools, making sure they have all the necessaries and so forth, and essentially providing the kind of support that students need locally. So we see this as a very exciting program, and I want to congratulate Minister Andel and his permanent secretary, Roxy Hutchinson, for their vision and assistance and so forth in getting this initiative off the ground. There is still work to be done. There are still negotiations in the background, but essentially this is the framework of the program to end the year, because GT, Christmas is almost upon us already.
So true.
4.5 months to go, 5 months maximum. So this will be the two agenda items under the banner of Diaspora Affairs Office that we will be pursuing.
All right. Now, let me also ask you this, Terry. In terms, you speak a lot of engaging, Grenadians out in the diaspora in terms of the assistance to the schools and so forth. How important it is for Grenadians out in the diaspora, being of course the Foreign Affairs Department there that you'll be representing now. How important it is for Grenadians out in the diaspora, of course, to offer assistance to Grenada, because sometimes we know a lot happens, but sometimes we don't hear about the engagements that are put out there, especially for Grenadians out there in the diaspora. How is it important, and how you plan of engaging them even more than just what you mentioned a while ago?
Yeah, well, this is something that we are going to be strengthening, because there are several, let's say, small groupings in various communities throughout the United States, Canada, UK, etc. So what we will be trying to accomplish is bringing every organization, Grenadian organization out there, under an umbrella organization, so that we are clear who and where they're operating, what their functions are, etc., etc. Presently, Over the years, there have been loose organizations, and I use the word loose very guardedly. They are not loose. They are just not fully organized and properly structured under a proper umbrella organization. So the umbrella organization will be the Diaspora Affairs Office within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So if we can get all of these organizations to understand that they fall under a structured body, and these are the principles of operation, and this is how we are going to move forward, I think it will benefit everyone. And proper recognition be given to Grenadians out there who have been contributing significantly towards the upliftment of Grenada, be it in education, sports, health, or wheresoever. We want to be able to properly recognize these Grenadians out there whom have been working hard, contributing to Grenada in so many different ways. So it's a bit of structuring that is now going to be taking place. And very soon we'll be promoting the office, informing Grenadians out there, this is the contact information for the office, and this is how you can get in touch, this is what you can do, etc., etc. It's going to take just a little bit longer because, as I said, the office is getting back to normalcy, I would say in another week or two. So we will start the promotions there after staff has settled back into that part of the building, because it's an entire floor that is being repaired. And as I said earlier on, because of mold in that building from the carpeting, which was a bad choice, unfortunately, the Caribbean, to have carpeting in an office and your air conditioning go, the cold air now meet the warmth of the carpeting, then this is a perfect recipe for the development of molds, which is very dangerous indeed. So all this old carpeting has been pulled up and the floors are being retiled and the air conditioning systems are being upgraded, etc. It's unfortunate that this is the situation, but you have to deal with reality when it confronts you.
All right.
So that is being handled right now. So I would imagine in another 2 weeks, the office should be back up and running, and we can then start the promotional aspect of how Grenadians can make contact with the diaspora office and how they can collaborate and we can work together.
All right. Terry, drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, of course, I want us to get into that discussion pertaining to, of course, the Prime Minister's presentation at the Africa Exim Bank, of course, the launch of that particular bank in the Caribbean. When we come back, we have some discussion on that. You probably can share some more information, more than we've been heard. Even though it's been on the news and so forth, folks been seen on social media.
Your volume is
still very low for some reason. I'm not sure. Let's take that break and we come back and see if we can have that sorted out just a wee bit when we take that break. We're coming right back, folks. Stay with us. It's To The Point here on GBN TV and Classic Radio. We're coming right back after the break.
The biggest party in sport is back. CPL and WCPL return with more action than ever before.
Are you kidding me?
Watch the biggest names in cricket battle it out in the race for glory.
Brilliantly. Celebrate some more.
Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at the box office. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
Grenada's broadcast of Republic Bank CPL 2023 is made possible by Republic Bank. We're the one for you. The National Lotteries Authority, Grenlec, and Hard On Plus.
This country so beautiful and peaceful. Let's keep it that way. Violence has no place in our society. For this carnival, let's keep it violence free. Because retirement age is 65. I want you to be alive so you could enjoy your retirement like me.
Spice Mass is on, and the NLA is granting you free access. From July 15th to August 12th, every time you spend $12 in the purchase of Playway, Pick 3, Cash 4, and Lotto games, you can win free access to all Spice Mass shows, all major private shows, and Monday Night Mass packages. Look for the words Spice Mass winner on your gaming tickets, and access is granted. Guaranteed. Simply redeem your winning tickets at the NLA's office on Grenville, Grove Street, or the Coronage for free access to all the big carnival events. Over 380 free access will be granted. The more you spend $12 on the daily games and Lotto, the more chances you have at winning free access to carnival events. Must be 18 or older to participate. Terms and conditions apply. NLA, the only diamond sponsor for Spice Mass 2023.
Don't miss me no more. Don't miss me.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's To The Point for today, Wednesday, the 9th day of August. And with me this morning is Mr. Terence Forrester. He's representing, of course, Department within Government. And, you know, he's representing the Foreign Affairs Department. And we're speaking a lot of that this morning. Terry, welcome back. I think our audio issue has been resolved and you're hearing me much better? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
When we were wrapping up, I did mention to our listeners and viewers out there that when we come back, I want us to get a little bit of discussion about the Prime Minister's presentation in Barbados in the launch of the AfriSing Bank, from Africa. And the Prime Minister did a presentation there that we're going to take a listen up to. And when we do come back, we're probably going to have a bit of a discussion of that. You're going to probably explain more to our listeners and viewers out there about us being part of that and the significance of it for Grenada and other Caribbean islands in terms of being part of that AfriSing Bank. We're coming right back. We suddenly come right back at that. Let's go over to Master Control.
Seeing the convergence of
economic ties between Africa and the Caribbean region. AfriSing Bank, also known as the African Export-Import Bank, is a pan-African financial institution that promotes and finances trade within and outside the African continent. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell was among the high-level officials in attendance.
This afternoon, we are witnessing the convergence of two dynamic regions, the continent of Africa and the Caribbean, each blessed with unique strengths and resources. As we stand at this juncture, we cannot overlook or overemphasize the historic moment that we are witnessing today. Centuries ago, our ancestors were bound together through a painful history of transatlantic slavery. But today, we come together with a renewed sense of purpose and unity.
Back with you, Terry. Terry, of course, I've just spoken to Master Control just a wee bit. I didn't want the clip that was played from the GBN's news. I wanted that entire presentation that the Prime Minister actually made in Barbados. So as they prepare that one, so in the interim, as they get that one together, as soon as it comes together, of course, Master Control will alert me and we will speak more of that. Now, Terry, you of course, you know of the presentation yourself and the significance of it. Before we listen entirely to the Prime Minister's, but what have you gasped so far or picked up in terms of, even from the Prime Minister's presentation? We have Prime Minister Barbados also made her presentation and so forth. Of course, the Prime Ministers are of the region. What's your take on the Caribbean being part of the AfriSing Bank being launched here in the Caribbean? Because over the years, we have always moved over to the banks of the Europe and of course and China and so forth. Those are the banks that most of the islands of the Caribbean have always dealt with, and now being part of the AfriSing Bank, how significant is that to Grenada and other islands of the Caribbean? And then we come back and listen to the Prime Minister's presentation.
Great. Well, JT, this is really history in the making. This is a significant geopolitical financial shift for the region. And it almost feels and sounds like a homecoming. Africa is now coming to the Caribbean, saying to its people, we embrace you one more time. You originated from our motherland, Africa, and we are now coming to rescue you. This is the kind of sense and feeling that you get, because with the launch of this bank in Barbados, and they're starting off with a capital of 1.5 billion US dollars, and they have promised to raise it to 3.5 billion US dollars. This is significant for the Caribbean. This says to the Caribbean, you now have access to financing for your businesses and for development. This says to the Caribbean that Africa is now embracing the Caribbean and working together in partnership to ensure the success of the Caribbean. As you know, we have always been dependent on the World Bank, IMF, China, other countries. We are still dependent on them to some extent, but here it is. Our motherland is now stepping up. Africa has now stepped out of its comfort zone and launched this new branch in Barbados, which speaks volumes, which speaks history, which speaks geopolitical coming together and providing this kind of financial assistance to the business community. It is now left for the business community in Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean to take advantage of this offer, to take advantage of opportunities presented right now. I am almost certain that there will be some form of soft on-lending from the African bank based in Barbados to some of our local banks in Grenada, like GDB and Co-op Bank and other banks in Grenada, so that they can on-lend to smaller businesses. Because with that size of financing, certainly large projects can be developed and financed. So this is an opportunity, and especially for young people, to start looking at project development with the thinking and with the assurance at the back of their mind that financing will be available. Of course, all the necessary checks and balances, like any other bank, will be required. But at least you know that the financing will be there. And for them, for the bank, for the leadership of the African bank to commit to an extension of up to 3.5 billion US dollars, it's indeed a significant commitment to the region. So it is showing that history is being made in the Caribbean. And congratulations to the leaders who were there on Friday, the Prime Minister of Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and of course our own Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell. They were part of the launching with the leadership of the Bank from Africa. And Africa is also looking at, or at least parts of Africa, looking at having a diaspora coming together in the region sometime in November. They are that keen and interested in reconnecting with the Caribbean. So this augurs extremely well for us, not just in Grenada, but the entire Caribbean. You there, GT?
Yes, Terry. I was just getting, just being in contact with the master controller for a wee bit. We do now have that the Prime Minister's speech at the launch, and we're going to listen to it for a wee bit and probably come back and make some comments about the speech, and probably you could share some more information that you have pertaining to the bank and so forth when we come back. So let's go over to Master Control, take a listen up to the PM's speech at the launch, and come back and chit chat about it some more. Let's go over to Master Control just a wee bit.
Thank you, Madam of Ceremony. Pleasant good afternoon to distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think I should correct you by saying I'm actually not the youngest Prime Minister to have been the Prime Minister of Grenada. There was a former well-known revolutionary leader by the name of Maurice Bishop, who was, in fact, younger than me by an entire decade when he became the Prime Minister of Grenada. He was only about 33 years old at the time. So subjectively, I may look like the youngest Prime Minister of Grenada. Your Excellency, Honorable Mia Mo Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, and permit me if I say one of the most distinguished leaders, not just of CARICOM, but of the world. Thank you for inviting us and thank you for hosting us today. Colleague Prime Ministers, the great Comrade Ralph Gonzalez. Comrade Gonzalez, in listening to my brother's speech, it looks I may have to disappoint you on CK Bride, not in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but perhaps on the continent of Africa. Prime Minister Philip Pear from St. Lucia, pleasure to see you again. Your Excellency Chief Obasanjo, former President of the Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Rodinal Suma, CEO of the CARICOM Development Fund, and His Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of AFCITA. Your remarks today was inspiring, and I see you have taken concrete steps to bridge the divide between the diaspora and the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a distinct honor for me to be present this afternoon to make brief remarks. This afternoon, we are witnessing the convergence of two dynamic regions, the continent of Africa and the Caribbean, each blessed with unique strengths and resources. As we stand at this juncture, we cannot overlook or overemphasize the historic moment that we are witnessing today. Centuries ago, our ancestors were bound together through a painful history of transatlantic slavery. But today, we come together with a renewed sense of purpose and unity, ready to forge a new path towards progress and prosperity on our own terms, not on the terms of others. It is therefore my privilege to join my fellow heads of governments and our esteemed colleagues from the African Export-Import Bank and our distinguished brothers and sisters from the continent to commemorate this historic occasion that signifies the strengthening of the ties between Africa and the Caribbean. The establishment of the CARICOM branch office will undoubtedly amplify our collective efforts to harness the vast potential that exists in both regions, opening doors to new avenues of trade, cooperation, and deeper integration of our peoples. We have already identified sectors where we complement each other's strengths in critical development areas such as ICT, agriculture, renewable energy, the creative industries, and education. Our small island developing nations possess a wealth of natural resources and cultural diversity that can meet the demands of the African markets. Similarly, Africa's booming industries offer a plethora of opportunities for Caribbean businesses to expand their global footprint. Through joint initiatives and collaboration, we can drive sustainable growth and job creation, enhancing and deepening South-South cooperation, promoting economic resilience, and reducing our dependence on traditional trade partners. As we move forward, let us remember that this collaboration demands our collective effort and dedication. I therefore call on all of our governments, businesses, citizens, to actively engage with the Afrexim Bank's CARICOM branch, tapping into the wealth of experience, knowledge, and financial expertise that the institution holds. Having played a pivotal role in facilitating trade and investment across the African continent. Importantly, this collaboration also provides opportunities to foster cultural exchange, people-to-people connections, and mutual understanding. I therefore particularly welcome the announcement of the Diaspora Day homecoming in November. So through dialogue and shared experience, we can deepen our appreciation of each other's cultures and heritage, further strengthening the bonds between Africa and the Caribbean. In concluding, I express my sincere gratitude to the Afrexim Bank for its commitment to building bridges with us. I express my sincere appreciation for the leadership shown by the Honorable Mia Motley in ensuring that this office became a reality in quick time. Let us collectively seize this opportunity to forge ahead with determination and enthusiasm, knowing that together, Africa and the Caribbean can be stronger. And I end with a phrase that became very, very popular in Grenada under the youngest prime minister that Grenada has ever had. Forward ever. Forward ever. Thank you.
That was the Prime Minister making his presentation there. Tell us about the Prime Minister's presentation. How do you feel about it and the significance of it, I would actually say?
Well, one of the salient points as he presented there is the collective efforts of Caribbean prime ministers and Caribbean people. There must be a collaborative and collective effort on the part of all of us to take advantage of this and to make it work. It's a geopolitical financial opportunity. He also spoke about the opportunity for import-export, and Africa is well advanced in manufacturing. We can therefore benefit significantly. He also spoke about culture and the exchange of our cultural ties, the history between Africa and the Caribbean, and the fact that this CARICOM branch launched in Barbados speaks to, I would imagine, years of negotiations. So congratulations to Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Motley of Barbados, whom has been charged with the responsibility of forging ahead with this particular initiative. And it is now a reality. So in essence, the Prime Minister's presentation there, as far as my takeaway, is encouraging collective and collaborative continued efforts to ensure that the Caribbean benefits from this historical engagement of African Bank setting up a branch in Barbados. This is major. This is history in the making. This can turn around the entire Caribbean. once we are prepared to take advantage of it. The business community, therefore, are being challenged to step up to the plate and take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You don't have to struggle to know where the financing is coming from. And you know that there will be a collaborative effort. There will be cooperation. There will be assistance. There will be holding hands towards economic advantages for the business community. So this is where it is, and it's really quite an honor for us in Grenada to have our Prime Minister deliver one of the feature addresses out there on the formal launching of that African Bank, which is now a CARICOM branch based in Barbados.
So let me also ask you, what are some of the key benefits you're seeing that could derive to the Caribbean, yielding from this particular launch? What are some of the key benefits you think could derive?
Well, in Africa, there's a lot of manufacturing taking place, especially with agro-processing. Nigeria, for example, is the world's third largest supplier of cassava. And they have developed secondary products from cassava, which goes as far as the production of noodles. Like you see macaroni noodles, they have cassava noodles and scores of other products, end products, baby products, and other such products. So we can learn a lot from Africa. We can source now the technical know-how, equipment and machinery, training, in order to take advantage of our years of wasted fruit and vegetable in Grenada. This is just one area of development that I can see. Africa, as you know, produces tremendous oil and other resources, gold, silver, platinum. Lots of resources are based in Africa.